Hey traders, checking in on the cryptocurrency space. Lots of euphoria out there. Congrats to all the bulls on the gains. It feels like there's an altcoin popping off every few moments here. We're going to be talking about a potential short opportunity approaching with Dogecoin. I'm going to talk about how I use the BTC pairing charts to see the names that are breaking out, and we'll look at some that have this setup to potentially be the next ones to make their breakout move, and we'll just get a glimpse at the overall state of the sector. Before we get into it, our developers have been hard at work behind the scenes fixing up the Trader Pro alert system as the environment has changed with a ton of volume and volatility out there. Certainly requires a lot of back-end tweaking to get things as efficient as possible. 50% off sale. Use the code FAST50 here. 40 new trading pairs and a better product. And just an example, we've got the super stack alerts here on BTC USDT 30-minute time frame, and you can see both the oversold and the overbought indications, useful for short-term shifts in momentum, whether you're a day trader on the shorter-term time frames or a swing trader using the longer-term time frames. Overbought indicators certainly a lot less useful in this bullish market, but the oversold indicators, very useful. So let's get into a lot of stuff to talk about. So first item on the agenda, we're going to talk about correlations. You know I love correlations. And then we're going to talk about sector rotation. And then we're going to talk about the clues that we look for when the next altcoin is going to get its turn to pump. So looking at QQQ, which is the tech sector, and Bitcoin. 5-minute time frame. This is from yesterday. When there is fear in the broader market, more specifically the tech sector, correlations sync up more significantly with Bitcoin. And look at 9:30 a.m. yesterday, and we just dumped all day, all morning I should say, and 2.5 hours of dump. Look when the volume picks up on Bitcoin. This is just Coinbase, but the volume starts ramping up 9:20, 9:25, 9:30 when the stock market opens. From then, we dump down. Even here, look at 10:10. We have a 5-minute bear flag. At 10:10, we have a 5-minute bear flag, confirmed with further downside. We then hit a low of the day on QQQ at 11:55. That had a Bitcoin double bottom. QQQ set a 5-minute higher low. Bitcoin had one more lower low, and then they bounced for the rest of the day together. If you are a short-term trader, you must be paying attention to the broader market. That is absolutely a factor, especially when there's fear. There doesn't have to be fear for there to be correlation. Look at the 5-minute time frame today. QQQ, low of the day, 10:20. What happened at 10:20 on Bitcoin? It wasn't the low of the day, but we established a support level. The bulls then took over on QQQ. They topped out at 11:05. Bitcoin bulls took over. They topped out just after 11:05, consolidation. We then topped out on this bounce at noon, 12:05. Where did we top out here? 12:05, 12:10. The consolidation is much more significant on QQQ, but the periods of bull and bear action are aligning with each other. It's just what I would call a bullish correlation favoring Bitcoin, where we are going up stronger than QQQ on the moves up, and we are not pulling back as much on the moves down. But if you look at the time and you line them up on the shorter term time frames, there's absolutely significant factoring, wrong word, significant correlation and impact that is being had based on the broader market. And again, you want to be paying attention the most when there is fear in the broader market. Rotation. Markets stay their strongest when there is rotation for the bulls, and that rotation goes to different places. So what I mean by that is money can leave one spot. When I'm looking at the broader market, I'm looking at money leaving the tech sector and going into the financial sector. That's what yesterday was going on. XLF, the financial sector, hit all-time highs while the tech sector dumped. So the broader market as a whole is not seeing fear. It's just a little subsector seeing fear. And as long as one of the major names is going up, then the broader market bulls are holding on just fine. That's going on in the cryptocurrency space, where as long as Bitcoin's pulling back, if ETH is running and at all-time highs, it gives this sense of calm to the market bulls. They say, oh, well, we're still in control here, and we're seeing Bitcoin profit go over to ETH, and then it goes over to Litecoin, and then it goes over to XTZ maybe. That's what we're going to be checking in on here. So as long as the profits are rotating around and we're not seeing everything drop together and seeing money leave the crypto space, it's a game of musical chairs. If the money is playing musical chairs, bulls are happy. If there is money leaving the game, bulls are not happy. So watch that rotation, because it is what I spend every single day doing, watching in the broader stock market to see if the bulls are keeping their control. And the answer is yes, they are keeping their control. The correlation between the broader stock market and cryptocurrency is generally short-lived, but that is also because the fear in the broader market has been very short-lived over the last bunch of months. If it were to manifest to something more significant than that, in my opinion, it would have a much more significant impact. But bulls, asset bulls, are pleased because it's just one big game of rotation over the last many months, and we're just watching to see how long does that continue. So BTC USD, 3-day equilibrium is what we checked in on last in the video. We were watching for a 3-day lower high. We got it with that fear yesterday. And again, not really Bitcoin fear, tech sector fear. Tightening 3-day range. Today, the bulls had made a complete recovery, and you can look at this setup and say anybody that went short yesterday is now underwater. And the bulls, if they can get back over 59,000, the high of that bounce, are back in complete control, looking back at the all-time high. So a very notable recovery and a good save. So that is keeping the bulls content, because as we've been saying, if we trade sideways on Bitcoin, that is going to favor the altcoins as long as the dominance chart keeps dropping and we keep seeing the BTC pairings of all these altcoins breaking out. Because again, if we're not having to worry about Bitcoin dumping, we're not having to worry about altcoins dumping, the ones that are showing us relative strength. The dominance chart on Bitcoin is still extremely weak. This is the daily chart. It's a slow fade. Now, we did just see a bull move on the hourly time frame, and it got my attention. Anytime I see the Bitcoin US dollar chart and the Bitcoin dominance chart going up at the same time, a red siren is going off in my brain saying, pay very close attention here. We may see funds funneling back into Bitcoin for a significant bull move. But it's shaping up right now to be the exact same as last time this happened. My alarms were firing off on this move of April 30th. It lasted 3 hours, and then we pulled back, and then there was a little bull break with zero follow through. But this move lasted 3 hours, and now we're pulling back. And essentially in this little 4-hour window, what happened was money poured into Bitcoin. It pumped for 3 hours. It topped out with a little double top at 58,000. And then as soon as Bitcoin started this consolidation, all the other altcoins started running for this half hour. And that is why the dominance chart pulled back very significantly. So that's a perfect example of just a very short-term version of the rotation that's going on. Significant pump in Bitcoin and then profits going to all these other coins. So ETH is a coin that just benefited from that little pump. Look at that hourly candle. That took place as Bitcoin topped out right here, and then Bitcoin profits flowed into Litecoin and ETH. So ETH at this point, we got an hourly uptrend, very clear. Just higher lows, 31.66, 31.75, 32.07, 32.26, a new higher low, 32.84. As long as these higher lows remain intact, bulls have absolute complete control. We have limited resistance, just the all-time high, 35.34. If you want to keep it simple, we have a higher low every single day for 12 days. Once that pattern breaks, daily consolidation will be underway, and we'll be scouting our back burner first hourly oversold conditions for a bounce trade. If we don't break the higher low everyday pattern, we're not going to see hourly consolidation, or I should say we're not going to see hourly oversold, and we're not going to see daily consolidation. So the low of today, once this candle closes, if it holds, is going to be our new key level, 32.07. Watch that pattern. It's very simple. When that pattern breaks, we'll say, okay, it's different than we've seen in the last week and a half, almost 2 weeks. Little short-term shift is underway. Let's scout hourly oversold and potentially 4-hour oversold bounces depending on what Bitcoin is doing at that point in time. ETH BTC remaining strong. Bulls are completely in control. Healthy consolidation. Daily uptrend is intact. As long as the daily EMA 12 holds and as long as the daily uptrend is intact, then the ETH bulls are pleased. Once ETH BTC loses the daily EMA 12 support, we will say it's now different. It was a different environment for the last 2 months, and if it is lost, We'll say things are shifting, and that means our trading style needs to shift. If you've been smashing ETH aggressively as a bull, when these things happen, you change your game plan a little bit, because if you trade with the same style in shifting market conditions, you're going to give some profit back. So watching for those two things, but right now the bulls are maintaining their complete control. Litecoin. So here's an example of me being dead on and missing out on money. And that's why trading is so hard, because you can be right and still lose or not make as much money as you should have. So here was the setup. Here's Litecoin breaking out, all-time highs approaching in the 360s, depending on what exchange you're looking at. The setup was all because of LTC, BTC. Inside bar, we broke it bull Monday first thing, and then I was watching, I think I highlighted this last video as well, but I was just watching this little double top on the weekly, knowing that if that level broke, there was a lack of resistance in this range, and bulls could see nice follow through. And on Twitter, Litecoin weekly chart, LTC, BTC has my attention. Hunt for where ETH profits are headed. Not much ETH profit taking, so that's not the reason, but certainly money flowing to Litecoin. And just highlighted this chart. Inside bar bull break already took place, and now we're watching for the follow through of this double top. So I was all over this setup, but I was you could either say I was too aggressive with position sizing, or I was too early, because the entry that I made for this trade, and I went aggressive, was right here on this hourly consolidation. I was saying, all right, I'm looking for an hourly bull flag, and I'm scaling in, and I got filled in the low 290s, and I went big. It was my biggest crypto position I've had in my day trade and swing trade account in a long time. And we failed 300 and broke support, and just like that, that's a big drop. That's a 9% drop. So I stopped out as soon as we lost this hourly high or low. Because again, if I'm in a large position, a 9% drop is massive. I cannot give myself that much exposure. So again, the things I did wrong, you could say I was too aggressive. If I had a position that was half the size, maybe I could have sat through that consolidation, placed my stop loss lower, given myself more wiggle room, and still benefited from the follow through on this move. You could say I was too early because the bulls really kicked it off on the break of 300, and they have had control since then. So I've still made, some money on flipping this bull move, but I was going for the home run, and just a little fumble went from big gains to small gains. So that's the life of a trader, and again, that's why it is so difficult, because you have to not only anticipate what is the most likely scenario to happen, but then you have to manage your risk. And I don't regret stopping out, because again, I can't give myself 9% exposure on that significant a portion of my capital to the downside. So all-time highs are in play. The hourly uptrend is our short-term guide. We can say as long as hourly EMA 12 is support, the bulls have absolute complete control. And when we lose that, we'll zoom out and we'll look for a 4-hour high or low. But all-time highs are in play, and the bulls are salivating for them. LTC, BTC, there is your breakout. So now we're going to just quickly look at a couple altcoin charts and their BTC pairings, because we're seeing a group of names do the same thing. Inside bar, and go. Link, BTC, just one inside bar, but it was an inside bar and go. All-time high for Link USDT. BCH, BTC, inside bar, go. Who's next? XTZ, BTC, inside bar, bull break, no go, but look at this resistance. If we get over this little double top of resistance, it reminds me exactly of what LTC just did. So again, as people are looking for profits to go around to other places, this setup is prime for the taking if it's going to follow the pattern of the other setups that we've seen play out over the last 2 weeks. So XTZ USD, bull break already took place here on the daily, 768 key resistance, but we need the BTC pairing. When I am trading these altcoins breaking out because of their BTC pairings, I care much less about the US dollar chart. And there's been examples, most notably with Link, where I have made entries into Link, market buying, because of a BTC pairing breakout. And looking back in hindsight, I look at that US dollar pairing and say, I would not have entered if I was not watching the BTC pairing, because I would have thought that it was too extended to the upside to make an entry at that point. So we're going to be watching XTZ very close, and this will be a great lesson. We're either going to see it follow through or we'll see it fail, and we'll look at the reasons and the clues that we could have looked at for it failing. Link, all-time high, upper wick, so we know consolidation is underway. Looking for a 4-hour high or low. Plenty of space to maintain the 4-hour uptrend. Is the BTC pairing in the spotlight? It is, but this is more pullback. Look at that increase in bear volume, and we're touching EMA 12. Just a little red flag. The fact that the BTC pairing is pulling back more than the US dollar pairing. Because again, when the correlation, when the spotlight is bright, the correlation is tick for tick the same, and they're both going up with the same uptrend. When the spotlight starts to fade, the BTC pairing generally will start showing us weakness more than the US dollar pairing, and that's the spotlight dimming. And again, we want to be in the altcoins that are in the spotlight because they are the strongest. And we look at Litecoin hourly, again, bulls in complete control, and we look at the LTC BTC hourly, and not as, well, bulls in control, hourly uptrend, just a little bit more consolidation on the way up. Not much, it's very similar. It's in the spotlight. Keep an eye on that rising wedge, which reminds me I need to check in on the BTC, the BNB BTC 12-hour rising wedge I was keeping an eye on. You could say it already potentially broke bearish and is now back testing. Just something to keep an eye on. Again, you just always want to be watching the spotlight. Are they directly correlated, or is that correlation fading? Look at that. BNB BTC 12-hour rising wedge. Broke bear. We'll see if we get follow through. A break of 1053 would be very notable if that were to break. That would be significant follow through. But it is still a daily uptrend with daily EMA 12. So it's not game over for the bulls. It's just your initial caution. Be careful if this breaks, but no major red flag at this point. So BCH, BTC, again, just watching it for the weekly. It's in the spotlight. XTZ, we're watching to see if it's going to be the next one to enter the spotlight on a BTC weekly breakout. Doge, sell the news event. Anybody that has been trading for a few years or more, any professional trader, any good trader is watching this for a sell the news event. We have a hype run up in blue sky breakout leading into SNL. Known events get sold into. The harder we run, the more likely a sell the news event is going to take place. I would expect Friday to potentially start seeing some signs of a sell the news event. I don't think it's going to go all the way to Saturday, which is when Elon Musk is going to be on SNL. But this kind of consolidation, if I'm looking to short it, I don't want to see this consolidation. I want it to just run to the moon all the way until Friday, and then I scout a bearish entry. This current setup could be shaping up a 4-hour equilibrium with our high, low. We're scouting a 4-hour lower high. So an aggressive bull could be looking for a 4-hour lower high entry to short and then put a stop over 696 to try and top fish that resistance. A patient bull is just going to wait until we approach Friday, see where we stand, and try and position themselves in a good risk to reward scenario to try and short. Do not short this name without a stop loss. It can always go twice as high as you think it can. You have to use a stop loss. People have been getting crushed shorting the meme coin without a stop loss. People have been liquidated by a meme coin. Do not let that be you. That's embarrassing. So, 4-hour tightening range is on watch in the short term. And as we head towards Friday, Saturday, we're watching for a sell the news event into daily consolidation and some significant volatility. Hourly RSI, did we get oversold there? We certainly got close, but the dips are still there for buying. 52 to 61, quick little 18% bounce or so. Be cautious, be careful. Only do it if you know what you're doing and have been trading for years and you're confident. So that's where we stand overall. Crypto space is just fine for the bulls. Bitcoin's trying a 15-minute bull flag right now. The dominance chart trying to go back in the spotlight. When the dominance chart and Bitcoin US dollar pairing correlate, they enter the spot, or Bitcoin enters the spotlight. The difference here is obviously the size of that drop on the 15-minute versus on the US dollar pairing. But the bears' backs are against the wall for Bitcoin right now. And again, if we get over 59 here, very quickly, anybody that went short the last 3 days is now underwater. So rotation is going on still, keeping the bulls confident. Broader market fear is short-lived and limited to individual sectors and not the market as a whole. And that's keeping things in a bullish environment overall. Congrats to the bulls. Update those game plans. Do good things, and we will see you soon. Hourly tightening range. APA. Whoa. What you want? APHA is a potential bear flag on the daily time frame. It's a weak bounce. If we break the lows of today on any names that look like bear flags, we are going to be looking to confirm those bear flags with lower lows. Bro, you're really messing with my flow.